Family business makes no sense. So let's talk about it.
Welcome, I'm Jon Kenfield with another episode of Family Business Makes No Sense, where we explore common causes of conflict that are almost inevitably going to arise if you're daft or game enough to combine a family with the business. Because what makes families good conflicts with what makes businesses good. And today we're talking about tradition and legacy, how they can be used as forces for good or as forces for ill within a family business structure. Over the years, we have come to the conclusion that having worked with hundreds of family businesses, that one of the main differences between the very, very good family businesses that are out there, the could have been goods, and the bound to fails, has been the way that they have understood and reacted to the inevitability of conflict within their family and business structures. The families that have got the appropriate strategies, structures, systems and skills harness conflict in positive ways to leverage diversity and make things work better for the family and for the business. Those that do not manage their conflict end up on the slippery slope where eventually they have a damaged family, damaged business, damaged individuals, and it's not a good look overall. So this is all about exploring how to get it right, how to make sense of being in a family business. Now, as solutionists, we have a tendency to make up our own proverbs when we can't find something pithy that's been said by somebody cleverer than us sometime in the past. So I'd like to introduce the idea here that behind every great family business lies a great business family. In other words, if the family is great, it can have a great business. If the family is not so great, it probably won't. I believe I probably pinched the idea from David Smorgon, but I can't find a pure attribution for him for actually saying those things. Now, in the tradition legacy space, we've got essentially two different possibilities. One is that the family's adherence, knowledge, respect, honouring of its traditions and legacy is used for positive leverage to create a better, stronger, happier family unit with enhanced capital, family capital. And it does that by using the tradition and legacy to provide a firm foundation for creativity and innovation. And that is opposed to the alternate, which is the regressive values as opposed to progressive values, which lead to negative leverage. The tradition and legacy have a negative impact on the family and the business. And that's because the focus in such a family group is more on preservation of the past, or what they believe was the past, as opposed to creativity of the future based on the lessons of the past. The second type of group, the regressive values, are going to be in a groundhog day of repeating the same things over and over again, of preserving the status quo, of opposing investment and innovation and initiative in the business, which for almost all businesses is going to spell their doom eventually, if not sooner than that. So if the imagination of the business, and let's go to the Einstein quote, that logic will take you from A to B, but imagination can take you everywhere. If we look at the situation where we are suppressing imagination because we're trapped in ideas about what worked in the past and what could be best for us now, then we are not going to be encouraging our next generations or our best and brightest employees to constantly innovate and demonstrate initiative and drive the business forward. We will stay in that Groundhog Day of the same place, which may work for a while. Depends on the business, but it's probably not going to work forever. We can relate the concept into the ideas of growth mindset and fixed mindset. The growth mindset is forward-looking. It says we can constantly grow and become more intelligent by seeing challenges as opportunities to explore, examine, reinvent, and grow and be better. And that, of course, is an extremely constructive way for a family to operate as it goes through generations and time, and just as much so for a business. The fixed mindset, on the other hand, says we've got what we've got and nothing's really going to be improved. So instead of the sort of stewardship-oriented, forward-looking, we're doing this for current and future generations of the growth mindset group, the progressive values group, we're now into a backward-looking, let's preserve everything because that's safe and comfortable and warm and it's worked in the past, so why shouldn't it work now? Which may link in with a stewardship attitude, but there may not be much left to pass on because the business hasn't kept up. Or there may be conflict, which may then devolve into an ownership attitude, where the family concludes that the traditions and so on of the past are not sufficient to carry us into the future, so we better stop right here, cash out of our problems, take our bat and ball and disappear with our share of the cash, and start up our whole new family units, or not, as the case may be. But if we're looking to create a multi-generational family group, obviously the fixed mindset is not going to support that concept and that desire. Anything like as well as a growth mindset will. Ultimately, we should be looking for balance. We should be looking for a way to leverage the good bits of tradition and legacy and modify or ditch or move past the bits that are no longer appropriate for current operations. So if we break the concept down into enduring human values, so traditionally and in terms of our family legacy, we believe in and we wish to promote honesty, integrity, service, quality, professionalism, things like that. Human values, they don't need to change over time, no matter what. And in fact, if they don't change over time, that may help us to deal with changes better than if we are all over the place. However, times do change, and succeeding generations in a family have different needs and expectations to previous generations. Similarly, as a business goes through its life cycles, which are typically a lot shorter than those of a family, which are measured in generations, it will be looking to change its procedures and practices. So we may have enduring human values and changing practice or practical values. The way we need to operate in the workplace alters as legislation alters, as attitudes change towards workplace equality, leveraging diversity, inclusiveness, things of that sort. They can lead to a whole bunch of changes in our practices and procedures, which become the governing values of that operational part of things and still guided by the enduring human values. The family business that can find that correct balance is going to be a strong one that has the potential to go to future generations. So what are the strategies and solutions that we should be adopting to make that a reality? Like so many things, we need to start with awareness and education. We need the current generations, the current decision makers, to understand where they've come from, where they are now, where they're going to, how they're going to do it, and we need them to be teaching a lot of these things to the rising generation, to their own children, typically. So we want to get the idea across, in an ideal sense, that whatever family business we're in, there are traditions and things that we've inherited through a legacy which are valuable and shouldn't be changed, and can be used to empower our family and our business to be better than the competition, both as individuals, as a family, and as a business. We're back into that foundational human values and the changing, responsive practice values. And if we do that, we could, as a family business, adopt something like this. We may say, as a value statement, we honour our past as a business family by applying tradition and legacy to shape our current attitudes and decisions, and to help us evolve our family and a business to achieve sustainable success across future generations. That will be an encapsulation of the balanced view. How are we going to do it? How are we going to make these nice words into reality, actionable reality? Well, we're back into the same solution that we've raised in a whole bunch of other earlier episodes. We need to have good governance systems and structures. Governance being the system of management for both our family and our business that can be engaged in where we are now, engage individuals in the understanding, in the process, in the structures that are required to promote objective and creative thinking. So the governance structures we're talking about here, after we got to create a plan and then to make sure the plan is followed through, are things like a family business board and an advisory board which includes non-family members, a family council to guide the family, and an advisory board or advisors to that council, again, to have some non-family broader experience brought into the equation. These will help us to get an objective appreciation of where our tradition and legacy fit, where they don't fit, where they can be leveraged, where they need to be left behind or modified. We need to encourage constructive dialogue. We need to encourage creative thinking so we can enhance our traditions and build on our legacy, increase our family capital, and have something even better to pass down. A better train set is the way that one family put it. Another thing we need to do is be very aware of a rising conflict if there are a couple of different camps within the family group. The one that favours a strict interpretation of tradition and legacy, and the other that embraces a more progressive interpretation of how to utilise tradition and legacy rather than being locked in the box that the first group might want to use to prevent anything changing in any fundamental way. Now, if we find cliques developing, we need to understand this is not because one group is in competition with another. It's more, although that's how it's going to present, it is more a fact of they have different ideas of what should be driving them. Therefore, they've got different basic values, and those basic values need to be explored and understood, and through careful negotiation, perhaps facilitation, they should be brought to a point of comfortable agreement. So everybody feels though they're getting enough of what they feel they need and what they feel is right to feel good about where things sit. We need to get a balance between locked into tradition and utilising tradition as a basis for change. In this process, we have dehumanised the conflict. We're no longer talking about Fred against Mary. We're talking about a clash, if you like, of philosophies, values and the like, which can be negotiated to a central point of agreement. And that's what our whole point should be all about, to produce a happier family and a stronger business, which is the end goal of family business best practice. If I've got you thinking, and if you found some value in some of the ideas we've talked about here, please give us a like, because that helps to keep us going. Please share the links with friends, colleagues, and acquaintances who you think may benefit from this sharing of 30 or so years of experience of working with a multitude of family businesses. And please come back next week for another thrilling episode. From Jon Kenfield, the Family Business Solutionist, thanks for watching.